So hey guys, welcome to another video, and today I want to talk about Mythic raiding and if it actually worked out for people. Alright, going from 10 and 25 man down or up to, depends, to 20 man. And why do I want to talk about this? Well, because even though some guilds had to merge in order to create this 20 man raiding guild, we've seen a pretty big drop in endgame kills, that is Mythic in Warlords versus Heroic in Pandaria and Cataclysm. Now this could be down to just simply Mythic being harder than Heroic, which, let's just face it, it is harder than Heroics in Pandaria or Cataclysm. But it can also be the 20 man requirement, because you need more than 20 people, you need sort of 25-ish. It's better with 30 people that are geared enough for Mythic. And for some people that's an issue. If you have a smaller guild, yeah, that's definitely an issue. Now for my guild, it was fine. I was in a very big guild. We had sort of around 25, 30-ish people geared enough to do Mythic, so we just filled a 20-man raid very quickly. But even though I was in a pretty big guild, we still had some issues with soft class stacking on certain fights. Now what is soft class stacking? Well, it's when a particular class or a spec is really strong for a certain fight, but that fight is still doable without you stacking that class. It just gets easier the more of that class or spec you add. Sort of like Boomkins on Chroma. Alright, that fight gets progressively easier as you add more Boomkins, so the ideal number is sort of 5-ish Boomkins. If you're in a smaller guild, how the fuck are you supposed to get 5 Boomkins? More to the point, 5 plus geared Boomkins for Chroma. We had issues with that. I went from Resto to Boomkin just for Chroma. And we had one of our Feral Druids go Boomkin as well for Chroma. And we were a pretty big guild. If you're a smaller guild, you're kind of fucked. That fight is so much harder just because you don't have 5 Boomkins on hand that have enough gear to do Chroma. But is this an issue with it being 20 man rather than with the boss design itself? Because if you could do it on 10 man, you would only need 2 Boomkins. But then again, if the boss was designed differently and it wouldn't cater to Boomkins too much, you might not need to stack them. So yeah, that's kind of a hard question to answer, really. Now, outside of these bosses that were vulnerable to class stacking, I really like the fact that there were no excuses anymore. Alright, you can't complain that this boss is harder on 10 man or 25 man, or that people in 25 man get more geared, or people in 10 man can focus their gear on fewer people. You can't complain. The only thing that's standing in between you and boss being dead is your own incompetence. Which means that if you get good scrub, you can kill it. That is good. That is awesome. I love that. Now, even though I like this system and it actually worked out for me, I have a huge issue with it. And it's not related to raiding. It's more to do with Blizzard. And this might sound crazy coming from a raider that loves Mythic. I think Blizzard is focusing too much on Mythic. And they are using too many resources to pimp it out as much as possible. Why is that a bad thing, though? Well, Mythic raiding is a very exclusive thing. I mean, before the release of Citadel, less than 1% of the entire player base managed to kill Blackhand on Mythic, Blast Furnace on Mythic, Maiden's Mythic, Thogar Mythic. Less than 1%. And they're spending so many resources and they're spending so much development time on these. And it's not just Mythic. I think they're focusing on raiding too much in general. Everything is structured around raiding. Everything you do in the world pushes you to become a raider. You did this, have a piece of gear so you can raid with it. You did that, have a piece of gear so you can raid with it. You finished a reputation in Chanan Jungle, have an infinite rune that you can use while you're raiding. And the problem with this is that once you start raiding, there is no reason for you to go back and do anything in the world. Because why would you? Do you want to farm another reskinned boar? Because everything else is just gear. But you are already raiding, so you have better gear. And let's not forget about people that don't raid. Alright, I'm a raider, so I go through the world, I get some basic gear, then I go into dungeons, get better gear, get into heroic dungeons, even better gear, and then I start raiding and I get more and more gear from raiding. And that's pretty much it. That's how I do things in WoW. But people that don't raid, they don't really care about gear because they don't need gear. So what are they doing right now? Running old content for transmog and mounts? Pet battles? Maybe. Are they unsubscribing? That's a possibility. I honestly have no idea what those people are doing right now in the game. No clue. And that's it for this video, so I thank you guys very much for watching. Now I have 2 questions for you. Question number 1. Would you rather have 20-man Mythic with very tightly tuned bosses, or 10 and 25-man Mythic with few tuning issues here and there? And question number 2. Are you happy with them focusing this much on raiding? Or would you prefer it if they were to focus on other things instead?